Hey guys, Marco the dog trainer here. Today we're going to do a quick comparison video of the Petmate Sky Kennels versus the Petmate Compass Kennels. Now I've done more in-depth review videos on these models individually. Those videos might be a little bit more helpful for like installation and things like that. This video is more so to help push you towards one or the other depending on your needs. Now, I personally like the Sky Kennels a little bit more, but I own both. I use both. They both work great. But in this video, I'll kind of explain why I lean a little bit more towards the Sky Kennels. So first thing we'll talk about is the availability of sizes. So the Compass and the Sky Kennel both have 6 different sizes. But the limitation of the Compass is that their biggest size is this one. This is the extra large. It's for dogs up to 90 pounds. Now, if you have a dog bigger than that, you're going to have to go with the Sky Kennel, where the Sky Kennel's biggest crate is for dogs up to 120 pounds. And for what it's worth, that I think they refer to it as a giant crate. That giant crate is actually my top recommendation for dogs with separation anxiety. Where I really have never seen a dog actually break out of the Sky Kennel, the giant one. Where the smaller models of both the Sky Kennel and the Compass, it's definitely possible for dogs to break out of. So if you have a more typical dog that's comfortable in the crate, you're not worried about them breaking out, then you don't really have to worry either way. Now, from a durability standpoint, outside of that giant crate for 120-pound dogs, that one's very durable. But then the rest of them on the smaller side I'd say are equivalent for the most part. Like I couldn't tell you if this one is more durable than this one because they both seem to be doing just fine. I want to say this one is like 10 years old and this one might be 7 or 8 years old, and they both seem fine. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is the assembly, because the assembly is actually a big reason of why I've started leaning towards the Sky Kennels. So they're similar in the sense that they're usually just 3 pieces. There's the top piece, the bottom piece, and the door. Where the Sky Kennels, I think, are just a little easier to put together. You put the top piece on the bottom, put the door in, and then you bolt everything together. Where the Compass has a little bit of a trickier like locking system. And again, I go into more depth on this review video in particular, but just to give you the quick summary. So the way that this one is designed is that the top piece and the bottom piece, when you put them together, there's kind of like a locking mechanism that you have to slide the top piece forward, and it kind of locks everything into place to help hold the two together. Now, until you learn the trick of getting everything lined up just perfectly in order to slide it forward, this can really be a nuisance. Like when I first bought this 10 years ago and I did not know how to get everything to line up perfectly, it would drive me nuts and I would get very frustrated, like especially if I was in a rush and I couldn't get it to line up. So if you're struggling putting this one together, I would recommend you check out my other video. So that's the first main reason I started gravitating towards this, is that I just think it's easier for people to put together. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is cleaning these crates, which again is connected to this locking mechanism that they have on the Compass crate. Is that the locking plastic guides around the edge of this crate are like a magnet for dog hair and dirt. So if you wanted to clean this crate, you got to pop the top off. And like I used to take a screwdriver and I would go through each one of these little compartments and I'd have to, scrape out all this dog hair and dirt. Just a lot of nooks and crannies on this one that just makes cleaning a little bit more difficult. Where this one is not nearly as difficult to clean. Now, on that same note, okay, we're going to show you this here. The bottom of the Compass crate, you can see has got all this ventilation here, where the bottom of the Sky Kennel is just all one continuous piece of plastic. Okay, so if a dog has an accident in this crate, the bulk of the mess always ends up on the bottom piece of the crate. So all of these vent holes, at least in my experience, led to the accident coming outside of the crate. And now we would have to clean up outside of the crate. And additionally, I'd have to take a rag or a Clorox wipe and I would have to clean every one of these little holes, or the crate would still smell like an accident. So that is why I started going to the Sky Kennels, because that way the bulk of the mess ends up on this bottom piece. But because there's not a bunch of nooks and crannies and holes, you can just wipe it down like way easier. So the second main reason I ended up gravitating towards these is because they're easier to clean. Now, the last big thing that I would be considering, not that this is a huge deal either way, is the actually in favor of the Compass crate, is that with the Compass crate, the doors automatically come set up that you can open it from the left side or the right side. Now, like I'll show you. Okay, so I could even take the door off altogether if I wanted, where a lot of crates, including this one, you have to decide which way you want the door to be oriented before you put it together. So with this crate, if I, like right now, I've got it opening this way. Okay, so if I wanted it to open from this side, I would have to undo the bolts around the edge of this to take the top off so I could flip the door to put it on this side. And then I would have to bolt it all together again. Okay, so most people are not going to be changing the orientation of the door that frequently, but I figured I might as well point that out while we're doing this video. Okay, so that's really the main similarities and differences that I would keep in mind with these. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.